It's a heck of a column, and it revolves around this letter that was written to Jack Dorsey asking him to delete tweets by the president that comment on the death of his daughter. I got to say, I mean, according to at least one statement that Twitter's given, it doesn't sound like that's going to happen.
Carl, it's his wife. Just his wife was killed. Died. Wasn't killed. I'm sorry. His wife died in an accident, and she had a heart arrhythmia. She fell. She hit her head, and since then there's been all this conspiracy theories about it related to Joe Scarborough. It's been proven and reported out as not so. And he has written a letter to Jack Dorsey. Just so you're clear, I didn't call for a ban on Donald Trump. I called for what this man, this very dignified man, did, which was to say, take down these tweets, and show an example of certain tweets are not allowed, which happens on Twitter all the time, by the way.
So given the statement that Twitter's given, what do you think is going to happen?
Did they give a statement? I hadn't when I had posted this morning.
I've seen one comment from a spokesperson saying that they are essentially working on it.
They are.
And that they're very sorry for the pain that he has.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Go ahead, Kara.
Oh, yeah. I didn't know they had done that. I mean, I think I'm sorry for the pain is not really good enough. And I think one of the things they are working on, and which I reported in the column, is whether to label these tweets and say they're false and then link them to the very extensive reporting on this poor woman's tragic death. And I'd said that was naive and not enough. And in some cases, you can do one-off takedowns, which they do all the time. They took down a Christine Pelosi quote about Rand Paul. They've taken down all kinds of things. And so my whole point was that there's other ways to think about this. And let me show you someone who is in pain, of which there are a myriad of examples on Twitter. But it's made worse because it's the president of the United States with 80 million followers. And so it amplifies it in a way that's astonishingly damaging. I mean, Joe Scarborough is a famous person. He can deal with this, right? And he being accused of murder, being accused of having an affair falsely. But it's this man, and I wanted to focus on him. Like, this is a widower who 20 years ago lost his wife in a terrible accident and is still living it because the president wants to attack Joe Scarborough and drag the memory of his wife. It's really an astonishing situation for Twitter to have to deal with and for the rest of us to have to watch.
Yeah, Kara, it really is. And I wonder, though, to what degree is the Trump question on Twitter, I don't know whether to call it a red herring or because he's the president and whatever message he wants to amplify, if he posts something like that and it gets taken down, that's going to amplify it. The message of the husband who's complaining is also amplified. So, yes, Twitter needs to have a consistent policy, but isn't the real issue some of the stuff that you were talking about also? The people whose messages get amplified, who are saying false things, and they're not labeled. And it doesn't get so much mainstream attention, and then they can kind of metastasize in the digital world in ways that become dangerous.
Well, John, you can't solve every problem on this planet Earth. I'm sorry. There's all kinds of things, but you can make an example of things. As you know, you're a parent. There's an example. People have made examples of all the time. And in certain cases, you can do that. And by the way, Twitter doesn't have a consistent policy. It takes down things like this. It takes down things like this all the time. It's just they're not going to take down the presidents because they're deemed newsworthy. In this case, my point is that it's not newsworthy, and not everything a president, or they've taken down Bolsonaro's tweet. They took it down, like it was a health tweet that they took down. And so they didn't label it, they removed it. And so they can do it, and they can do it for heads of state. So they can do it in this case or in other cases where it's egregious. And I just wanted to point out a particularly egregious one, and especially because this widower has written such an excellent argument as to why to do it and the pain that he's been under. And I don't want to appeal to people's emotional, but why not appeal to people's emotions? Why not appeal to their sense of decency? This poor woman died 20 years ago in an accident, and it's metastasized into this thing. And you can't take down screenshots that are going to be made of this, but you can go to the source and say, this is not going to stay on our thing. It's not newsworthy. It's false. It violates all kinds of all rules that we have, which are so inconsistent. And I think that's okay. And it doesn't, it's not censorship. People that they go around about the First Amendment, this and that. The First Amendment says Congress shall make no law, not Twitter. Twitter is a